Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship, what a season. Absolutely phenomenal. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to World Online Racing here. Back again, this time though, on the Xbox platform. I have to say, the belated Xbox platform that we all like to talk about. Certainly a hometown favourite here for WOR. Naturally, it is the foundation, the very solid foundation of WOR. The league was formed on the back of the Microsoft platform, and we are back live on it this time on F1 2021. My name is George Morgan, at George Morgan TV, for those of you who didn't know, and I'm not alone here tonight for this race at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. I'm also joined by the one and only Bradley, or Beacon, as he's also named as. Bradley, we're looking forward to tonight, aren't we?
Absolutely. We have a brilliant crop of drivers preparing for this race. We've got a mix of Tier 1 and Tier 2. So, there's a lot of Tier 2 drivers out there looking like they really want to impress. And we, I think, have one hell of a race on our hands because we have some very much top drivers on the grids tonight.
We certainly do. Lots of certainly quality drivers across this grid order. It's going to be fascinating to see who is the best out on the Xbox platform. Naturally, I'm sure many of you who are more, I would say, in depth of knowledge as to what the potential of each of the drivers have. It's lovely to see some names in the live chat as well. Please hit us up, folks. Please hit up the live chat. Light it up as much as you can. I can already see the likes of Dark Killer in the chat, as well as WR Connor, Sloppy Cop as well. Just keep adding up to it, folks. Let us know you're out there getting ready for tonight's race at the Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya. And just a few facts for tonight, of course. This one, the Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya has been pretty much certainly a pre-season favourite in the world of Formula 1. That is generally where you see winter testing being carried out for a lot of the cars, testing the new aspects of the cars and obviously trying to optimise the potential that they can around various circuits. And I have to say, I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to have the optimal pace heading into this one, because naturally we've seen so many of these drivers before in the past, but there are a few new faces, a few new names, as you quite rightly said, Bradley. A few of them have featured in lower tiers, now looking to try and battle against some of the best in the business on the Xbox platform. And I have to say, they're not too far away. The gap from P1 to P20 has been noted at around a second at most, which is quite impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, there's so many top quality Xbox drivers, especially at the moment now, that, we can have the top two tiers separated by, only about a second. And I don't think we're going to expect much more than that at all. There'll be realistically a bit of correlation between tier and the finishing result, but there will be definitely a couple of outliers who will massively overperform. And, I'm more than happy to see that. This should be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, at the end of the day, you can only have 20 cars on a grid. Someone's got to go into Tier 2. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is in any league. But naturally, we've got a combination here of Tier 1, Tier 2 talent that, of course, will be trying to certainly do their utmost, try and make a statement certainly out on this kind of a field. And in terms of the Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya, probably one of the most well-rounded circuits on the F1 calendar. The first sector, of course, you have those initial few progressive bends. Then, of course, the middle sector, more of a formality. You have a couple of decent straights heading out of Turn 6 into Turn 7. a bit of a short straight, heading up the Verth curve at turn 7, up towards Campsa, which is another semi-straight, a high elevation section of that circuit. Then you've got the almighty downhill of Campsa heading into the Lakea bend at turn 10. One of the more formidable corners because you can oversteer heading into that section, then powering out of turn 10, heading up towards the infamous back San Badell out of turn 11 into turn 12. And that sector 3 can be so punishing, can't it, Bradley? Because of course you've got the final chicane as well, which everybody hates, but nevertheless it applies this with certainly lots of battling out in the circuit and tees up a fascinating encounter heading into the long straight with DRS open.
Absolutely, that last sector can be really punishing if you get it wrong. But if you're following a car and you get it right, then there is absolutely nothing stopping you getting that move done down into turn 1, using the DRS, using the slipstream, everything that you have at your disposal. And again, it's no easy pass at turn 1 either, so there's a lot of good battling. We could see side-by-side action through quite a few corners today.
You certainly could, and there you can see the pit bays all in their glory, including the likes of Nico, Joker, you got Matthew Reese, as well as Viper, Le Griff, Sparks, Critch, as well as Harvey C19, Shadow, TRL Martin, of course, back in League Racing this season and producing some sensational YouTube content. I really do recommend you guys check him out. Of course, Shazoo Chili, another one who has recently joined the grid at the higher echelons, looking to really improve, has been highlighted as one of the top improvers on the platform. Noctis as well, Shuey, as well as WOR, Connor, Luca, Rodnar, of course, one of the title favourites for this season, including Jack, Wilson, Tribion, and Dark Killer, of course. A very formidable field, plenty out there looking to really make a name for themselves, and already we're seeing all the cars stack themselves across this grid as they all hightail out of Sector 1, including this man, VRT Le Griff. Look at them, all coming around this circuit now.
It's brilliant sight because it has been a while since we've had WOR action on the Xbox platform. So it's good to see all these drivers back out on track doing what they love. And I've got to say, you know, you mentioned just quickly Chili. It was only a matter of, what, like 3-4 weeks ago, we were saying, well, I remember saying on the stream, I'm surprised to put him into the academy rather than straight into the first team. He's progressed that quickly. He's really burst onto the scene. He's got great engagement with people on the platform. And he's also incredibly fast. And I tell you what, that doesn't hurt you. So, yeah, I think he's one to really watch out for, just through sheer progression throughout the next even year or two. But yeah, he's one really look out for today. But it's just great to see his cars back out on track. And we've got a little bit of differing strategy already by the looks of it.
Well, I have to say, early doors in qualifying, a few of them already hitting things out on the medium tyres. Generally, you might see them maybe trying their best to try and set an initial lap on mediums. You never know, it could give you a huge advantage heading into the race. So you can see the McLaren of Critch making his way down the stretch now. Another man out on the lap is Sparks, of course, a man who has been very excited about getting started here in the Xbox tier regularly in my messages, certainly saying, you know, I'm really looking forward to this, he's saying, and I give him a lot of plaudits. He's got so much enthusiasm, has really wanted to set the bar for himself to try and emulate the success of others in the past on the Xbox platform, and certainly that sheer enthusiasm I'm hoping I think he's hoping that it'll translate to a good performance, and naturally that alone can certainly inspire a driver to do well, because naturally the sheer thought alone of bringing quality to the track can alone provide you with good results. You need to have that confidence at the end of the day, don't you, Bradley?
Yeah, absolutely. You just need to have
lost one as well.
Oh yeah, we have. Yeah, okay, there goes Luca. So yeah, that's not an ideal start to the session, and a very easy mistake to make by the looks of it, judging by where it is out on track. Of course, that's a really challenging part of track now, the exit of turn 9, because the curb is more punishing on the exit than it has been in previous years. It can basically launch you into the air or launch you to the side of the track. Which way you're facing by the end of it, well, that's just down to luck. But Sparks has put in a really good lap so far, and yeah, he's got 14.6, so I think that will be beaten, but how easily?
Yeah, well, it's not beaten at the moment. Le Griff crosses the line on softs. Shadow, though, comes across the line with a 1:14.426. That is just under 0.2 of a second. A better time than Sparks, of course, but both of them representing Alfa Romeo, so we won't be too disappointed with that indeed. If we were talking about championship points, that would be good certainly for the Alfa Romeo team, and we'll have to keep an eye on them to see whether see how they perform in total. Nico crosses the line to commence a hot lap himself. Here comes Joker, who comes across the line himself after setting an initial lap on softs. Doesn't set a time after an invalidation. FRA Jack joins the fray, lands himself up into P3 ahead of Le Griff, with Wilson, his fellow FRA teammate, making his way further up the grid as well. 114.931. 3 drivers in the 114s right now. Dark Killer comes across the line in the Alpine at 115.484. They're coming in thick and fast, Bradley. Not a bad start, but currently the Alfa Romeo's untouched on the top billing of this classification.
It's a brilliant start for the team at the moment. Of course, I think maybe a bit more of a driver event out there today, so I don't think there's going to be too many concessions going either way. I think it will be quite aggressive between them because I think they will be racing on track. I don't think I would expect much less. But I think, you know, a lot of plaudits need to go to Wilson here because he's done a pretty good lap to be in the 14s. That's not a bad shout this early on. So yeah, that's really good for me. Dark as well, a 15.4 on the mediums is not a bad lap time, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do when he gets himself onto those soft tyres.
Absolutely, very, very forceful with the steering wheel there from Harvey C19 as he rounds the final corner. Oh, a bit sloppy on the exit, and he has paid the price as well for that. And unfortunately, he's had to stop on his lap. Joker boxes into the pit lane. His teammate, though, WR Nico, setting a 115.394 for Aston Martin, so not a bad start for him. But already, I mean, looking at Dark Killer's time, a 115.484 on medium tyres, that is not bad at all. Top 10, still currently ahead of a couple of soft runners as well, including Le Griff and, of course, Harvey C19 as well, but still plenty to set lap times themselves. ESV Viper as well out on track this time for Red Bull. He, of course, in the first sector now, heading into the second one now as he rounds the Repsol curve, heading down towards the seat bend at turn 5. And the Red Bull, I'm sure, will be looking to stamp his authority on this grid order as well. But plenty out on outlaps too. Critch, TRL Martin as well. One of the other championship contenders for this season. One of the grandiose returns on the Xbox platform. And you firmly expect to see him up at the top billing because he's already made a claim saying that he's going to be using this season, obviously, for YouTube content as well, Bradley.
Absolutely, I think it's really good to see. It's just in general promoting a lot of the Xbox side at the moment, so it's brilliant to see. And a brilliant content creator, and also, you know, half decent driver at that. So I think there's a lot to watch out for this year from his side. I think just slightly beside the point to mention was Critch came out the pit lane and spun straight away, and I think that does highlight a bit of an element of danger of this game because, of course, coming out the pit lane, you do have quite a narrow line into turn 1, and if you ride the curb wrong, it's very easy to lose it, or especially at the second corner as well. They're both quite aggressive curbs, so you do have to get it right. And I don't think Critch quite did there, and he's got a little bit of extra tyre wear that I don't think he wanted. But yeah, overall, I think it's an interesting bit for the McLaren team. I'm definitely keeping an eye on both of them tonight.
Yeah, they're going to be very much a force to be reckoned with. Critch is no slow poke at all as he now around the final corner with TRL Martin now in the orange McLaren. DRS opens up for Martin. P3 is what he gets on soft tyres, and just over 0.2 of a second slower than Shadow. Still Alfa Romeo remain untouched at the top, and Sparks is now just leaving the pit lane along with teammate Shadow. Both of them looking like a really formidable pairing right now, even though we haven't seen yet all of them cross the line. Another man who we're obviously looking into is also Shazoo Chili, who of course has got such a future ahead of him, has just joined Team Shazoo as well this season, just been announced as a full-time driver, maybe ran a little bit too far over the curve on the exit, heading around the final bend at New Holland. Crummers comes across the line, P4 though, brilliant as well, just under, I would say, 0.2 of a second himself behind TRL Martin, but P4 nonetheless, and the Scuderia Ferrari will be delighted with that time for sure.
Absolutely, that's not a bad lap time at all from Chiliette. See if you can get a couple more tenths out of it, because if so, he's going to be right at the thick end, and this could be really interesting. But yeah, looking around track mode, so yeah, I think Dark's come out. Yeah, Dark's just tried his nap. He's decided that those medium tyres aren't quite enough. He's down in P8 at the moment, out of 11 who have set a lap, so I think he knows with that time he's not going to be starting in the top 10. So he comes out on a set of softs, he's going to want to try to improve as well. I think potentially we saw a couple of people giving the mediums a go, just A, out of hope, and B, out of maybe thinking if they're a tier 1 guy, you know, maybe they have half a chance, maybe slightly underestimating the tier 2 drivers, and I think that could come into play tonight. If a tier 1 driver may get slightly frustrated with maybe one of the tier 2 drivers who they would feel they should be easily beating, but they are no slouches whatsoever, and they should be able to put up a decent fight when needed.
Yeah, they certainly will. Ronhar actually crossing the line into P5 and a 1:14.923. Would have expected better from someone who you'd consider to be a championship favourite this season, as we're now watching Joker round the next right-hander. This, of course, being at Europe Car, heading into turn 14 and 15 now as well. New Holland beckons around the final bend and scooting and certainly pumping that Aston Martin across the DRS line now. What can he land? A P8 joins his teammate there in P8 and 9. The two Aston Martins line up together on the classification. Further down, plenty of others out and out laps. Harvey C19 as well. WR Connor currently in the pits as well. His teammate Matthew Reese in the Alpine also out on an out lap, as well as ESV Viper, but plenty out and about on track looking to go quicker. Jack being one of them, as well as WR Nico. Ronhar still out on track too, with Dark Killer also up there as well. Shadow and Sparks also out on track as well, looking to improve, as we're now watching Sparks now round the final bend as he now crosses the DRS line. Can he go ahead of his teammate? And he certainly does, with a 1:14.393, and that is just within half a tenth of a second. Not bad at all from Sparks, but I'm sure his teammate will have a reply as he crosses the line. Not this time, he says. He has to go again.
Give it one more shot. That was a really good lap from Sparks to just go just over 300ths quicker than Shadow. So that is really interesting. And yeah, I think Sparks will be right at the thick end. We knew that coming. But I think Ronhar, obviously he has to improve. He's in P6 at the moment. But I think you'd expect him to improve a little bit more as this session goes on. Maybe just, a little bit of, just getting your mind into it, just getting back into the flow. And that'd be interesting to see. Oh, Dark Killer, sorry, has just been cut off, I think, by Joker there coming into the pit lane a little bit. But yeah, it's really interesting. Dark Killer as well, yeah, like you said, putting in a really decent lap there to go P5 ahead of Ronhar. I think he'd be pretty chuffed with that one.
Yeah, he certainly will be. I mean, naturally, a lot of these drivers don't know where they stand on pace right now. Obviously, this is the first proper race we've had on the Xbox platform, as we've been waiting for new updates to certainly find their way onto this platform itself, as Jack now rounds the seat curve, heading down towards Birth. And it's an important factor as well, folks. We want to hear from you as to who you think is going to take pole position in this session. Naturally, short qualifying here on the Xbox, and with 7 minutes to go, we want to hear, who do you think is going to take pole position into the race for this one? And I'm interested to get your thoughts as well, Bradley, because of course we did talk briefly before the start of the show, and I want to know from you, who do you think is going to be tasting P1 glory here tonight?
Now that's interesting, because it all depends on that race pace, and like we said before,
let's talk pole position first. We won't get into the race
pole,
just yet.
Pole first, yes, okay, pole first. I said Ronhar beforehand, and I'm not being scared off by one lap. That's definitely not what's happening here, but I'm really impressed by Sparks and Shadow at the moment. They're both putting really good lap times that so far it doesn't look like many other drivers have a real response to. No one within, what's that, 2.5 tenths, a quarter of a second of Sparks' lap at the moment. So there's got to be some real improvements out there. I'd like to say Sparks. I think it would just be a really good story, because you said he's so enthusiastic about this. It'd be really good to see just all of it paying off. And Critch, there we go, Critch setting a really good lap actually as well.
Yeah, well, look at it. You got a pair of Alfa Romeos leading the fray. A 1:14.393 still to beat to the top end with Sparks, but VRT Critch getting himself above his teammate TRR Martin with a stunning lap of a 1:14.584. Nevertheless, still nearly 2 tenths to find on Sparks, but TRR Martin could be the one to upset the balance in this fray. Not forgetting Ronhar out on track as well. There's still plenty of cars out on the circuit, folks. Only currently 4 drivers, 5 drivers, 6 drivers now in the pits. Make that 7 as Shuey boxes now, as well as Martin now rounds Birth curve, now making his way up the steep embankment, heading around Capsa corner, the really fast-paced corner. You can go flat out at this section and make your way down towards Lakea, heading downhill, braking just after the 100, cruising around this next left-hander, hitting every apex. TRR Martin so adept, so precise when it comes to utilising his car around a track, as they come out now back San Bedell, heading around Europe car, the McLaren blazing orange here. Can he light up the standings yet again, rounding the next next chicane, certainly rounding the final corner at Bank Sambadell for the final time. Turn 16 is finalised. Coming across the line goes ahead of VRT Crutch, but not enough, crucially, to take P1 in this qualifying session. Still Sparks currently owning that spot right now for Alfa Romeo. He's going to be delighted. A 14.393 at such an early point in this session, certainly proving to be very tricky to beat.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that lap's proving to be a little bit more formidable with each lap time we see coming in. He's still got about a 10th on Martin, so yeah, this is really interesting. I think that lap from Sparks is really good, and of course he probably has more to come. He set that early in the session, so this will be interesting. He's got a couple more minutes. He's got another set of tyres to go out on. As with, I'd say, most drivers, especially with the Chile, and there's a little bit of lag, I think. Yeah, but it's overall pretty good for Sparks and the Alfa Romeo boys. I think they're sitting pretty at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll have to wait and see to see whether they can get beat at the moment. Both of them are currently in the pit lane. Critch himself in the pits as well. Tyrrell Martin, I'd imagine, will be looking to box after he comes in on his cooldown lap. Plenty of them in the pits now, folks. As you can see, only currently at this stage 3 cars out on track. Ron Harvey being one of them, Chile as well. Matthew Rees actually coming out on an out lap. Tyrrell Martin, he's now in the pits. So it's only actually Chile, Matthew Rees and Ronha who are out on track now as Harvey joins them as well. So 4 cars now out on certainly out on the circuit right now. Is already, you can see there, Chile just cutting the chicane there. He's going to box himself. Maybe not happy with the lap he just set. We'll probably be opting now with 3 minutes left to go to do one final run. And this is where a shotgun finish is certainly applied. Ronha making his way around the next right-hander. He's not setting a proper time, jostling and tussling around this circuit. I'm not sure whether that's a lag issue there, but his car is certainly very erratic heading into the pit lane as we're now looking further down as well. Trivion out on a lap 2. We haven't seen anything yet from this AlphaTauri driver, but currently sitting in P11, so he will have his first, and he'll get a choice of tyre compounds currently should he stay in P11 heading into the race. Harvey C19 as well out on the circuit in the Williams, just making his way around back Sambadell. Very shortly he'll be commencing his fast lap as well. But key to note as well, Sparks and Shadow, who are currently gracing their presence with the top end of the classification, now out on outlaps too. So it's going to be fast and furious as the timer ticks down. Squeaky bum time now, Bradley.
Absolutely, and I think it is for a couple of drivers out there because, Ronha currently sitting P8. He's really got to improve. He's going to come back out in a minute, or maybe, just maybe, he sits there in the pits for the next 2.25 minutes and goes, you know what, maybe 2 or 3, well, 3 drivers, hopefully for his sake, could overtake me. How inconvenient would that be? And then, I get to start on the lovely fresh tyres and do the alternate strategy. It'll be interesting to see whether a couple of people do actually give that a go, because it should be quite powerful. I don't think it's anything to underestimate, because it is at most tracks this year.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, every option's possible. I mean, just watching now, Harvey making his way around the Verth curve now. I mean, what can the Williams do? Needs to do quite a bit, in fact, with the closing stages of qualifying now upon us. Trivion also out on a lap. Matthew Rees there too. And still at the moment, no one can touch what the Alfa Romeos are doing. In fact, looks like an incident that's gone on in behind. A car in the wall heading out of Campsa corner. Not a retirement, though. Must have just been a wing snap. But at the same time, that's not the time you want to be touched with certainly those issues. Since we're now riding on board with the Williams of Harvey C19 as he rounds the next right-hander. Shadow just commenced his hot lap now as well as they come through the final chicane, heading around the final corner, around New Holland now. And Harvey C19 looking to try and light things up for himself as he comes across the line. Can he improve? P16 is all he can muster, and unless he continues and goes round again, he will not be improving on that time. And with Viper and Shuey yet to set laps, you'd firmly imagine as Sparks has retired from the session. Whether that's a crash, I'm not quite sure, but he has not improved, but he still holds on to pole. Can he hold on to it though?
Yeah, I think it seems to be a crash, actually. I think he might have lost it. But I think as well, Harvey might have been slightly put off by Matthew Rees having a very creative line of getting out of the way by driving in the gravel. It was a slightly unique one. Most people would pull over to the left. But yeah, that's really interesting. And yeah, Matthew Rees as well giving it a go now. Most drivers giving it a real go out there. Martin, he's about to start his lap as well. That'll be a really interesting time because I think he's the most likely candidate, unless Ronha can really sort his lap out, to really pull something out the bag.
Yeah, well, Shadow now just coming across the line as we were just watching him at 1:14.261. An almighty, near enough 1.5 tenths of a second increase there for Shadow, very nearly. Amazing stuff indeed. And parks himself ahead of his teammate. Another man who's currently making his way around as well is VRT Critch. His teammate Tyrrell Martin just beginning his fast lap as well. But Critch will be one of the next ones. He's now following around. In fact, he's on a slow lap, I believe. He's certainly around about 11 seconds down on his time in the second sector, so he will not be improving. Chile as well making his way around the final corner at New Holland. Can the Ferrari light things up here as he comes up across the line? Scuderia watching on. P4 goes ahead of Critch, so what can Critch do? Of course, he's going to have to stay out. No, he's boxing. No improvement from VRT Critch. He's going to be in trouble. Certainly, Tyrrell Martin making his way around the Lakea bend. Also going around is Ronhar. Where's Ronhar currently? Making his way around the final sector now as well, so plenty of drivers about to come across the line now. Ronhar, of course, one of the tips to be a title contender this season. Can he land that Red Bull onto the front row of the grid? Preferably a P1. He comes across the line, slows down.
He's got P11.
Yes, he's got P11. That's what he's got. So he's got what he wanted, I believe. Tyrrell Martin up into P2. Shadow coming into the pits. He stays in P1, and that confirms it, folks. Shadow is on P1 heading into the race. Pole position for the Alfa Romeo. But look who's alongside him. It's that man again, Tyrrell Martin.
Yeah, and this is going to be really interesting because Martin, the wise driver, he's known for his race pace. It's basically just known. It's going to be so interesting. He has fantastic racecraft as well, so clean. It's going to be really interesting who gets a good run down into turn one. And I cannot wait for that. This is going to be something to really watch. Harvey as well. He's had to pit, so he's not getting a good lap out of it. But that was so interesting from Ronhar. He was massively up. He was over a quarter of a second up through sector 2, and then he must have gained a little bit in sector 3 because it looked quite neat, much through the lag as we could get. But yeah, that's interesting. I think Ronhar is going to be really fun to see because he's going to have to progress as early as possible through the field in these early laps. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's going to really test a lot of them. Shadow, though, I've got to say, showing his pace already early on. A 14.261, sensational. Near enough over a tenth quicker than Tyrrell Martin. We'll have to see whether he can hold on to that pace heading into the race. Tyrrell Martin in P2, joining him on the same row of the grid. Sparks in P3, Chile in P4. What a session there from the Ferrari. Critch in P5, Matthew Rees P6, Wilson 7th, Joker in 8th, Jack in 9th, Dark Killer 10th, Ronhar very disappointing in P11. Well, was that the strategy he wanted, though? We'll have to look at that. Connor in P12, Tribion P13, LeGriff P14, Nico next with Noctis, Harvey, Viper, then Shuey, then Luca, who starts from the back of the grid. But incredible. What a lap by Shadow. Parks himself in P1, but I'm interested to see the likes of Tyrrell Martin. And what about Ronhar on that alternate strategy as well, Bradley?
It's going to be fun. We'll have to see what he decides to do here because obviously he's going to go on the ultimate strategy. There's no doubt about that at all. But it's how much he pushes early on, how much he risks in these early stages. And also, I think a bit of a shout out to Tribune as well because he's done quite well. He's only 4 tenths off the top 10 on his medium lap that he set near the start. So I think that was a really good lap time in the end. I think it'll be interesting to see what his race pace is like because I think if he was on the softs, it'd have been, mid top 10.
Well, without a doubt, I think he really would have. I mean, it's going to be certainly interesting to see whether they could cultivate that into race pace and see who gets the better start. Obviously, it's the start off the line that's going to be so key heading into the Spanish Grand Prix. That first corner, you really need an advantage off the line. It goes without saying. And certainly, whoever does have the best start off the line, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to lead heading into the rest of this Grand Prix. So it's so key between Shadow and Tyrrell Martin. Would it be fair to say that, no matter where you're starting on the front row of the grid, it probably doesn't matter whether you have P1 or P2. Obviously, pole position has a benefit in terms of, I suppose, gaining a point in maybe a championship condition. But certainly, I think at Spain, it's probably one of those circuits where leading in certainly a qualifying aspect doesn't really benefit you that much because the straight is simply that long, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And in some cases, in some drivers' cases, it may be slightly more beneficial to be P2, P3, where you can get the slipstream all the way down the long run into turn 1. It's good. You can see it. Basically, all pole's worth at the moment is you're going to be leading for the first couple 100 meters. Past that point and down into turn 1, it's all to play for. And it could be anyone's guess here. So I think Martin's definitely got that in mind. He'll want to get a good start. He's not going to deliberately go a bit slow so he can get a slipstream. That's completely out the question. He will just absolutely go for it, and you have a bit of a saving grace. You don't get an ideal start. Let's say Shadow does get a phenomenal start. Martin still has a chance. It's a bit of a lifeline here, especially with the run down to turn 1. It's just that long.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we want to hear from you as well, folks. Who is going to win the WOR Xbox Spanish Grand Prix? Please line up the live chat. I can already see plenty of you out there watching here tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. Your support means a lot. We have just broken over 1,000 subscribers after last night's race, heading out of the PC platform. Obviously, we had race 2 in the championship. We're now back on the Xbox here for the first time since last season. Only for a social race, mind you, folks, but we will be back to league racing action, I'm sure, very, very soon, with Shadow currently on pole position, TRL Martin alongside him, Sparks as well in P3 lining up in behind, and also Chili looking to make a mighty name for himself as well. Comments in the live chat, folks. We want to hear from you as we're about to put pedal to the metal for yet again another race on the WOR Xbox platform. Keep it with us.
Martin's lagged out.
Well, we've lost Martin. Hopefully we can get him back. As we now wait to get underway. Here we go, folks. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. And immediately, look at that. TRL Martin diving off to the inside. Sparks covering off the excess route. Phenomenal start there from Sparks, though. Chili, what a getaway. Gets himself up into P2 from P4. Start certainly so far. Sensational from Chili. In behind Shadow, losing 2 places from the get-go. Both cars on the second row of the grid. Now tussling over the top 2 places. TRL Martin behind his teammate Critch. Round to the next right-hander, heading down through the seat now. It's Sparks in front, Chili in second, and what a really, really terrible start from Shadow. He is sunk right down through, with Martin dropping through the field due to a disconnection there.
Tell you what, Sparks have flown here because he's up into P1 now. And Chili, what a phenomenal start to get that Ferrari up into P2. That is going to go a long way as this race progresses, and it's a good early advantage. But Sparks and Chili leading at the moment from P1 and P2. You wouldn't have had it written down, would you? Oh, must have just Joker.
Yeah, Joker's had a spin round like a bend oversteer heading through there, and he's actually upended himself. He's now landed himself, certainly behind Luca right now, heading into the next right-hander, and certainly heading around Europe car. That's not the way you want to start a race. Nico going ahead of TRL Martin as well. The McLaren, it's all going from bad to worse as Sparks sets the initial fastest lap, as you would expect. They're now hightailing down towards turn 1, yet again an elf curve. Renault will beckon as the second corner in this circuit, certainly here at Spain. As they round the next right-hander at turn 3, heading down towards Repsol at turn 4. All of them still as they were after the first lap. Oh, we got a spinner there. Give us news on that one, Bradley.
Yeah, Connor's just lost it through turn 2. Took a bit too much of the curb, I think, and he's on those hard tyres. Not a lot of grip, especially with high fuel, and he's lost it. And that is a massive dent in Connor's race here, because he was relying on those hard tyres to go a very long way and keep himself in a good position. That is very much out the question now.
Yeah, it certainly is, but look at Chili all over the back of Sparks here, really trying to give him a headache or two as they round out of camps and just running over a little bit too much of the curbs there. And it's so easy to lose traction around the Campsa corner. It's such a high-speed section when you're rising up through Verth, heading up now towards the uphill rise. It can, of course, catch you out when you have to make that sudden urge to the right hand, taking a lot of the curb on the inset and the outset as well. So easy to lose the car on these very slippery curves here at Spain as they now come through the chicane now. Round in the final corner, still on top is Sparks, in behind is Chili, not forgetting Ronhar, who's now up into P9 on hard tyres. Sensational. And look at Shadow now, who's just set the fastest lap, eyeing up Chili for a move as the Alfa Romeo looks to join his teammates in the top 2. Sensational move down the inside there, the thinnest of margins, as Chili's pushing him all the way through turns 1 and 2. But Shadow, no longer a Shadow, goes ahead of Chili, finds his way up into second place, just in behind Sparks now, and I'm sure these Alfa Romeos are going to be working together, Bradley.
They really are now, and that is something that's going to be really vital in this race, because Shadow absolutely has to hold off Chili now. Shadow used a lot of VRS down the straight. He's down to just over 50% now, as Chili, he's hovering around 90, so he's got a lot to play with here. But if Shadow can stay within Sparks' DRS, which is now available to the drivers, then it is going to effectively prevent Chili from using that advantage, and Shadow can probably get away with using a little bit less ERS for good measure.
Yeah, absolutely. They're now cascading up now through the next left and right, heading through back Sambadell. Still Sparks leading comfortably right now, and he's going to be helped with the aid of his teammate right now. Well, the question is, will Shadow obey to team orders, or will he go past Sparks? We'll have to wait and see. He rides a lot of the curb on the exit of the chicane, now heading around New Holland. Chili still in behind, though. He hasn't lost him. We've lost Trivion as well. Is that an incident? Is that going to be a safety car? And it looks like it was around Sector 3. A VSC. Is that going to be a full safety car, folks? Have to watch now and bear with us. It is a full safety car. Now that is going to change things up. Who's going to box? I'd imagine this might be a play from the soft runners. Will they box onto the hard tyres?
I think so. I would think so. From this point, it is definitely not a bad shout at all. You're not going to the end on these hard tyres, but it is very much now an easy hard soft or hard medium, depending on how much you like conserving your tyres. Considering the restart's likely to be around lap 6, you'd think. So there's a couple of laps saved there. But yeah, no, this isn't bad news at all for the soft runners. And if Martin can get back in, it's not bad news for him either. But I don't think that's happening at the moment, as he's now languishing down in P17. Of course, his AI currently driving around, but it's a massive saving grace for Viper, who was caught up with early pit stops, I think some damage and spins as well, so he's right back in the action now, which he's going to be very happy with.
Well, this is massive for those who've already done a stop. Certainly, like you say, Viper on the hard tyres. I mean, what does this mean for him heading into this race? Naturally, he's going to move right up the field. I would not be surprised to see a lot of the drivers who are currently on softs actually boxing for a new set of tyres. I mean, I would be very surprised if a lot of them didn't, as we're now watching Sparks come around the next right-hander at Europe car. Let's just keep an eye on the leader to see what he decides to do here. It's a big call, a major call, in fact, as Sparks now comes around the chicane. Opts not to pit. He's staying out, but who is going to box? Is anyone going to brave it? Both Alphas staying out. Chili's out. Matthew Reese has opted for the box. He's the only one in the top 10 that's actually opted to pit here in the early stages of this lap. Now, how key is that, Bradley? I half expected a lot of the soft runners to actually make their way into the pit lane, but I gotta say, I must have been mistaken.
I think, if anything, this safety car came a little bit too early in the race for some of the top drivers. They may be a little bit scared off, because they know those medium drivers are going to stay out. Of course they are. They're going to stay out for a very long time here. And maybe they thought, you know, I'd rather have the track position from the restart, try to pull out as much of a gap, because, you know, Ron Haar's on the hards. He's a rapid driver, but he is not really going to be able to keep up in race trim. I'd be very surprised if he was able to. And hopefully for the soft drivers, he's going to create a little bit of a bottleneck, and the drivers like LeGriff, Nico, and Noctis, sort of, they get a little bit stuck, you know, a little bit bogged down trying to get past, if they even can get past, because Ron Haar, quality defender as well. And yeah, I do think maybe a couple of laps there, if we were talking about safety car lap 7, 8, when there's a couple more gaps, you're going to lose less places by pitting. But I mean, look where Matthew Reese came out. He was from mid-top 10. He's come out in P16 now. There's a lot of cars in between him and the leaders, but one less pit stop to go with it.
Well, absolutely. It means now that he's probably not going to have another pit stop. He might take those to the end. We'll have to wait and see. Ron Haar would have wanted a lot of them to pit, because if he led the race absolutely on hard tyres, he would finish on the softs potentially, and he does have the pace to hold the lead as well, and it would have given him a huge overcut, I would have thought. But we'll have to wait and see how this works as now Sparks makes his way around the final sector. I think actually on face value of it, it made sense for a lot of them to stay out, so we'll have to wait and see as to what happens, whether Ron Haar's strategy does still come into fruition. Naturally though, starting on P11, it does still work. He could still get a massive overcut. We'll have to wait and see what happens, of course, because obviously Sparks, Shadow and Chili will all still have to pit, but Ron Haar's got a mighty mountain to climb, and already as they're now coming down the section now, you can see them all ferociously trying to warm up the tyres to keep the heat in. Naturally those on the softs don't want to do too much of that, because of course that will burn through some of the tread. You want to try and keep as much tread as you can on those soft tyres in order to get the full effects of them heading in the early starts of this race, because you need to make sure that you've got a nice clear gap to the hard runners behind.
Absolutely. They do have a slight advantage. Of course, they don't need to warm the tyres up as much because it's a softer compound. It heats up quicker. That's the fact. And they have Ronha behind. But if there's one of them in the middle somewhere who think, yeah, you know, I'm going to heat these tyres up a little bit more, get a fantastic run out the final corner, can break later down into turn 1. There's potentially a position or 2 to be gained. But we could be on, hopefully, you know, it would make one hell of a race if Tyrrell Martin, who is now back in the lobby, he's pitted, he's got a fresh set of mediums on, and he is going to be well and truly in the mood now after apparently his Xbox randomly turned off, which of course you absolutely hate to see. But he is back now, and let's see what he's going to be able to do. I think he's definitely one to watch out for because there's no questioning he could be in the top 10 by the end of this race.
Yeah, I got to say I'm devastated for him, I have to say, because he looks so good in qualifying. He had a great, certainly a great foundation heading into the race. Safety car, we have got confirmation, is in this lap, folks, so we need to keep an eye on who's going to get the right getaway. Sparks is going to be leading, heading around the home straight. He will be effectively the safety car after the actual safety car boxes, so keep an eye on him, folks. Let's see how good a getaway he can get. I have to say, I want to hear from you as well, folks. Please light up that live chat. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel as well to stay up to date with all the streams that are going to be happening here on this channel. Indeed, of course, we've got everything from PC to PlayStation to Xbox actually being well, certainly underway here on this YouTube channel. As now we're watching Sparks come round the New Holland bend. He's already getting a quick getaway, and also in behind Shadow, who's leaving no time, already going for the jugular this time, right for the throat. In comes Shadow, no longer a Shadow. He leads here in the Spanish Grand Prix. Chile in behind as well, looking all over the rear of Sparks, who probably did not want to lose the position, but has forfeited it to his teammate. What a getaway from Shadow.
That was absolutely brilliant. Used the slipstream so well. Got such a good exit through the final corner. Long right-hander, able to get the traction well and truly done. He is now in the lead of the race, and Sparks is surely going to be coming under a bit of pressure from Chile and Critch as well in the next couple of laps. We've got to see though, because of course this could end up being a fairly decent train of cars, because Shadow obviously is not going to have DRS, but whereas Sparks, Chile, Critch, Dark, and then even Jack and Wilson at the back, they are, and it is going to be really good to see, because this could be a really good train. It's going to be hard to overtake, but if they all stick with each other, it could create some drama, especially with undercuts, because we're getting to that territory in a couple of laps.
Yeah, it certainly will be. As soon as DRS becomes active again, folks, we will be seeing certainly more overtakes being made, but who's going to utilise the overtake button the most? That's the question. Of course, Shadow has been very active out on track. He's already now regained his previous position that he earned in qualifying. Of course, he lost out at the very start of the race, but certainly no question to his pace. So 118.120 is the fastest lap now set by Shadow in this Grand Prix. In mind, you can see there Chile starting to actually find that VRT Critch is closing up on him now. The McLaren looking very formidable, and certainly good to see, because he's got to try and regather after what his teammate Tyrrell Martin lost. Harvey C19 with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. We did speak about the curbs and how treacherous they can be, and certainly it's so easy around a track like Spain to certainly get a penalty for certainly overrunning track limits. It's just simply that easy. Certainly around Camps Corner, like we said before, where you get chucked out wide, heading out of the Verth curve, which they're now rising out through now. Shadow leading them around this section, and already he's looking to break a second. No DRS for Sparks here. Leaves him very much a victim for Chile right now.
Absolutely, this is an immense... Oh, Ronha's out! Ronha's out the race!
Ronha's out, we've lost Ronha, and again, I get the feeling it was Kamsa Corner that played the victim yet again. Certainly for Ronha, not good at all. And the favourite, the title favourite for this season's Xbox Championship is now out of the Esports Social Race, the pre-season race, and boxing straight away is Sparks. Interesting manoeuvre. He knows that he's lost the Delta, and Shadow now, with clean air, can focus on building ahead of Chile.
Is this the undercut attempt from Sparks? We're going to see it. This outlap's going to be pivotal. And Martin is, he's been frustrated his first couple of laps. So I've just been keeping on board with him, because I'm expecting an absolute worldie at some point. I think he's about to do 2 cars on one straight. No, he can't quite reach Connor down into turn 1. But yeah, this is massive. Ronha, he, you know, if you ask most people in sort of like the F1 community, they would go with Ron Har being a really strong driver. And is this a repeat of what we're potentially seeing from last game with Ron Har? His qualifying pace was exceptional. Okay, maybe he didn't repeat that feat too much today, but in the race he made some really serious mistakes. I remember, I think it's SRC actually at Spain, he made a mistake in just a corner ahead at the hairpin. So it does cost him. I think these little mistakes, and if he can iron them out before the season starts, it's absolutely nothing to be concerned about. But it's just little mistakes that need to be resolved like that, and that could be championship deciding in a few weeks.
It could well be. Now Chile making his way around New Holland, Bank Sambadel heading into Europe car now very soon to tackle New Holland after this chicane. Now there you can see the Ferrari, who's looking a little vulnerable. He's opted to box, and so is Critch, so they're now choosing to make their pit stop. Shadow staying out. That could be a very, very good move there from Shadow, who would have no doubt gained a lot given the fact that he was not giving anybody the tow. But the crucial thing is, where is Sparks going to come out in all the chaos now as he rounds the final bend at New Holland? Is Sparks going to have the advantage heading into the next lap in this race? Is a key moment in this Grand Prix. Sparks coming through now. Sparks letting fly. Is Shadow going to stay on top as they come out into turn 1? Shadow still leads. He still leads with Sparks in behind. Alfa Romeo maintain a 2.5 second gap. What a masterclass from this Alfa Romeo pairing here, Bradley.
That has gone absolutely to plan. Probably not for Sparks, because he was giving that undercut attempt a real go. And he did actually close in about 7/10, so it was more than worth it in the end. He's done very well there to give himself an outside chance after losing DRS. But now Chile has got a real uphill mountain to climb here. This is going to be really, really challenging, because he's now, I think, going to be under more pressure from Critch than he's going to be putting Sparks under pressure himself. So, saying that, he has broken DRS already. So let's actually see Chile. He's closing a little bit. I think it'll be interesting just sort of what their pace is like next couple of laps. It's a completely different set of tyres, and I think the pace may differ slightly as well.
Yeah, well, he's definitely going to have to look busy, but don't forget, we've got another 23 laps to witness in this race as they now round the next right at Europe car, heading down into the next chicane. Tyrrell Martin with the fastest lap on medium tyres, no less. He is having an absolute flyer right now. Connor now looking to overtake Matthew Rees, heading into turn 1. The Williams diving in on the inside. Superb from Matthew Rees. In comes Le Griff as well. Also coming in on the inside, opts to take the inside line, heading into turn 1 and turn 2, but Harvey holds on. The 2 Williams is now in the top 10, certainly subject to pit stops, but they are taking the long way round in this race. But still, currently net leader of this Grand Prix is now Le Griff, down the inside now, heading out to the next right, and certainly out of Repsol, heading into the seat, holding on goes Harvey C19. What a duel we're seeing out on this circuit. Every position matters, and these drivers are driving for their life.
It is absolutely brilliant to see. No one's leaving anything on the table here, and this is absolutely brilliant. So we've got Le Griff trying to put Harvey under a little bit of pressure, trying to get back past. He's using everything. He's using his ERS, he's using DRS in the slipstream, but he just can't quite get past the air. Yeah, Shadow on Viper. Viper had a spin just last lap down at turn 1 and turn 2, so he's lost what was a little bit of a gap to the pit stoppers. And I think he's going to be right near the back because of it. So this could be a really challenging race. Oh, and that's a big mistake from Sparks. A lot of oversteer on the exit there. And now Chile wants to get past as quickly as he can, because maybe he can sniff an opportunity if Sparks does start to suffer with his tyres just a little bit.
Yeah, Chile is going to want to push now. He needs to get in DRS of Viper himself now. There you can see Sparks looking to try and get close to his teammate. There you can see Viper who's refusing to go away. He is still there. Remember, he's only accrued 9 laps on his hard tyres. So remember, he's already boxed, so he's very much still in this fight. Of course, he can take those tyres quite a way in. He will end up finishing, I think, on the softs. I don't think he'll quite get them to the end, but he'll take a huge chunk of this race. And I think what he's hoping is that while the pit stops are being applied, he can produce a massive overcut, gain plenty heading into the rest of the race. Remember as well, his tyres should be optimal, so he should carry a lot of pace. It's certainly surrounding the next 10 laps, I would have thought, so expect him to still be up there with the best of them. Chile is gaining though. He is going to be on DRS of Viper very shortly, and he can use that to get closer and closer to the likes of Shadow and Sparks. So do keep an eye on this, folks, and I would not be surprised if Sparks maybe tries an overtake on the main straight. That's certainly going to be something to see, as Tyrrell Martin himself now coming through the final chicane. He's looking to make moves himself. He's got WOR Connor just ahead of him here, and the Williams, I think, might well be a sitting duck, an upside down turtle, because Tyrrell Martin Martin with all the pace in the McLaren now. What an exit out of the final corner in New Holland. Makes his way on the outside there of the Williams of WR Connor. Turn 1, brilliant there from TRL Martin. What a recovery now at this moment in time. Electrifying the race here in WR. The Xbox, the first race that we have seen on this platform.
Was a brilliant move, and Martin moved himself up into P5, not net P5. We'll have to see where he comes out after his pit stop. He's now got a lovely bit of clear air to catch up with Joker, who was many places ahead of him at the safety car restart. So yeah, Martin slowly dragging that McLaren back into this race. He really does want to get, I'd say a top 10 finish would be not remarkable, but a real big achievement here, considering what happened. Oh, and there's, oh my Connor! Ooh, okay, that's not ideal. I think he's giving it a little bit of a weave there to clean up his tyres, but that was quite leery from the Williams.
Yeah, very nearly collecting Matthew Rees actually heading around Campster Corner, and that's certainly one section you do not want to be re-entering the track. He actually went off the track coming out of Earth Curve. I think he oversteered, in fact, came back on and pretty much came out in the middle of the park where Matthew Rees was coming through, so it very nearly ended up in a massive collision between the two of them. TRL Martin really knocking off all the delta time right now, trying to catch up with Joker, who obviously will have an advantage because he's got DRS. Noctis trying to knock on the door of Luca, who's currently the leader out on track. Shadow now dispatching Shuey as well as Sparks, as we now have a 3-wide affair, certainly heading into turn 1 potentially on the cards as Sparks lights things up here and flickers away and manages to find his way into P11 following his teammate Shadow. He knows it's key to stay within his teammates' DRS. They make moves together so that he doesn't waste any time. He is certainly very conscious of that Ferrari in behind, isn't he, Bradley?
Absolutely, and Chili's looking at that going, oh come on, how have you done that? It's so annoying because now he's going to have to lose time trying to get past Shuey in just a moment. Shuey, he's not slow, so I think he might stay within DRS of Sparks, at least for this lap. I think it should be definitely safe this lap. He's made a big twitch actually there. Might have been a bit of a commentator's curse there, but I think he's just about clinging on at the moment. Those tyres potentially starting to be a little bit worse for wear. But Chili, he knows now he needs to get past that Haas as quickly as he can, because Sparks, he's going to have an eye in his mirrors, just making sure that the Scarlet Red of the Ferrari doesn't end up facing him in one of them. This is going to be really interesting because it's going to be hard for Chili, but he's got a little bit of a benefit in the sense that, look, Shadow, he's now hit Harvey, and in a couple of laps time he's going to hit the Griff, and then Connor. It's going to get harder and harder as we go.
Yeah, look at Chili's exit coming out of New Holland. He's already on him, pouncing like a cat. Certainly heading ahead of the Haas, and certainly Shuey has nothing to answer. There's that man Chili, and in the Scuderia Ferrari, moving his way up into P12. The chase goes on between him and the Alfa Romeo's ahead. Sparks now has got to try and get past Harvey C19. Shadow's already done it. They're coming through now towards the next right-hander, heading into Repsol at turn 4. Harvey in P10. Shadow now up into the top 10 of the race on track. They're coming down into the seat and looking at nose to tail between the pair of them here. This is a huge opportunity for Chili to actually close the gap, but surely Sparks is not going to get a move done heading down towards Lakea Bend.
Got a lot of ERS to play with though. He's on 9% now, he just hit. So yeah, this is hard for Sparks. Sure, he can get close to Shadow. He's going to get this move done fairly comfortably under braking, I'd guess. Yes, he does. That is a real neat move. Bit of a lock up on the front left, but he's got it done. And now Chili has again got to try to follow through. He's just got past Shuey. Now he's got to try to get past Harvey. It's a little bit of a chasing game now for Chili. He's just got to do everything just a little bit later. We have the leaders coming into the pit lane. We have Luca and Noctis both coming in. Let's see what tyres they put on for the rest of this race. Yeah, they're putting on the hards. That should be the strategy that most of these medium runners are going with. Just maybe not Martin. We'll have to see what he goes with.
Yeah, and here comes the Griff as well down the outside in the black arrow of the Mercedes, dashing down into turn 1 and takes P5 on track, opening the door potentially for Shadow as well, who's now riding up on the rear, getting very close to the rear of WR Connor, who I believe is actually disconnected from the session, so a huge opportunity for Shadow, I think, to try and pounce here on the Williams, coming into the next right, heading into Repsol. The car is ghosted. He's going to go for it, utilise it as they come around the next right. There you can see him now. The Alfa Romeo can see that Williams is weak right now, heading through the seat, and certainly pounces and lets fly. Sparks Sparks follows as well. In behind with RBC19, right behind his teammate. Chili is there as well as they cascade up now through towards Kamsa corner. Shadow still trying to whittle his way through this classification. He's got around about 9.5 tenths per second to find now as Chili now also moves up into P8. Successful maneuver there for the Scuderia, but there you can see ahead Shadow and Sparks with Chili in behind. They're making their way up through the next cascading section of Sector 3 through back San Bedell, very shortly around Europe car. Still Shadow, the net leader of the race, is just outside of 9 tenths of a second, certainly on Le Griff, who now chooses to box. Shadow surely very soon will be the leader of this race.
I think it's only a matter of laps now till he regains that net P1 and he takes the official lead of the race. That's when it starts to count. Nico, must be said, he's putting a hell of a shift in on those medium tyres. He's got 16 laps so far. He'll be in very shortly, I'd suggest. He may be going for a medium soft here, which is quite impressive. We'll have to see if he's brave enough to just brave these out a couple more laps. He is under maybe... probably not pressure from Joker. I suggest there's a bit of team play going on there. But look at that, Martin. What do you say it was? 3 seconds, only a couple laps ago. He's now down to 1.9. So he is slowly clawing his way into this battle with the Aston Martins. It'll be a couple more laps until Martin pits, that's for sure.
It certainly will be, and Shadow's got to find 3.5 seconds on Matthew Rees right now as they now hightail out of Campster corner down towards Lakea. It's still Shadow whittling down that delta between him and Matthew Rees, but Matthew Rees's tyres are only 11 laps old. They are relatively new. He would have boxed on them in around about 6 laps in, so he's still got plenty of wear on that compound, at least for now. So it's going to be a lot of work here from Shadow to try and claw back that delta time. WR Connor has just rejoined the session as well. I believe his car was ghosting. He is now cemented to the back of the grid on fresh soft tyres. They won't get him to the end, and Connor has in fact left the session. I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be a retirement as well very shortly, as Shadow now coming down towards turn 1 with Sparks in behind as well, not leaving his teammates rear right now. In behind Chili, who's in fact still working, still clawing, to do credit to the Ferrari driver, managing his ERS and still staying in reasonable tow. I've been really impressed with Chili's drive here tonight.
Absolutely, Chili. I was going to say, these three are putting in such an amazing shift today. You've got Shadow, he's got fantastic pace. Sparks, he's keeping up the pressure. And Chili, relatively new on the block, and he is putting in, he's really making a name for himself. That's the thing, he's doing so well at the moment. He now has a little bit clearer. This is his time to prove it. He has got to try to make sure he can just, keep it around 1.1, 1.2 to Spikes. Oh, he's already there. There we go, straight away. As I say, he's gained about 4 tenths in the last couple of seconds. So that's not too bad one bit. But I think once Shadow actually catches up to the back of Matthew Rees, it's going to become a bit of a challenge, because then you have Sparks right on the back of him. And Chili should get within DRS. I'll be really surprised, unless Shadow is able to make that move instantly and loses no time at all. I don't see a way Chili doesn't completely join this top 3 scrap.
Yeah, well, I have to say, Shadow is technically a Lone Ranger right now. He's got no one to pull DRS from, which means that Chili now can spend time trying to gain. He lost a little bit, though, in the final sector. He was quicker, though, in the middle sector. That is where he gained on Sparks. And certainly Sparks now letting fly here at his teammate, heading into turn 1, getting so close, nose to tail, that rear wing, very nearly touching the front wing of Sparks there. And it's getting really congested now at the front end. Certainly these are the net leaders of this race, technically, as we're now looking at them wheel their way around the next right-hander at Repsol now, very shortly around towards the seat. There you can see Shadow and Sparks both together, both in the Alfa Romeos. In behind as well, Chili, who is working, really grinding, trying to find his way closer and closer to Sparks. He wants to cause an upset here, and Chili can certainly do that, as well as if he plays his cards right, and he's driving a superb race right now, so do not write him off. Viper gets a 3-second time penalty himself now as they come down towards the Lakea bend, rounding it now, hightailing through this section, heading very shortly up through back San Bedell. There you can see Shadow certainly in very closely following in behind. You can see there his teammate Sparks as well. Chili getting closer and closer, edging forever close. Again, toppling another 3 tenths of a second in the middle sector. Sensational drive from Chili, and he's broken DRS here. Fascinating racing here in the WOR Xbox Esports Invitational.
Here we go now. Chili, he's caught up what he lost in the pit period, and he is here now. He has entered this party, and Sparks trying to give Shadow a bit of a go down into turn 1, but not quite close enough in the end. But can we just say, Matthew Rees at the moment, unless his tyres really drop off, he's not going to be able to go to the end, surely. That would be really impressive. But, you know, unless his tyres really drop off, he's in a really good position at the moment. He's, like, Shadow's not a lot quicker. Shadow's not gaining as rapidly as you'd think. He's got 5 laps of fresher tyres on him, but he just can't close that gap too much at the moment. And could an element of that be the, well, fairly aggressive teammate right behind him, pushing him around these corners at the moment? Maybe an eye in the mirror, just holding him back ever so slightly, but Matthew Rees doing a great job.
Yeah, I got to say, I've just had a look at the tyre graphic that just popped up. They compared Chili's tyres to Sparks. Crucially, they have been on similar lap old tyres. 5 to 10% difference in wear, Beacon. 5 to 10% difference favouring Chili right now. So he is really saving the tyres. Not only is he catching, but he's saving the tyres. He's right on the rear of Sparks right now. And I have to say, the Scuderia are looking on. I have to say, in disbelief, as their man coming past the paddock is certainly finding maybe a little bit of an advantage here later on in the race. Utilising the tyres to their absolute maximum, saving it. Also conserving his ERS, making sure it doesn't drop below 20%. He is absolutely smashing it right now. We're going to have to watch them hightail around the next right, heading down towards Repsol at turn 4. Still Shadow is leading this contingent. 2 seconds now, the gap between him and Matthew Rees. So he is finding some way closer, certainly to the front end now, on track. VRT Critch, we've lost him as well. Yellow flags in sector 1 and 2. Drama there further down.
It looks to be a bit of a mistake. I mean, it's an odd one to make. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Critch. I'm driving on board with the Griff just to see. I think he's just parked it up on himself. Critch is effectively just given up by the looks of it. Realised not much is coming of this race, and yeah, it looks to be that he's just called it a day. But yeah, it's really interesting to see now. Chili is right on the back, actually. Chili put Sparks under quite a bit of pressure under braking there, down into the hairpin. And I think Shadow's starting to just breathe a little bit easier, because, you know, when you're in the middle of the pack, when there's 3 or 4 drivers in a train, it's quite hard to actually get a move done. Chili's got so much front end through the chicane there. That was quite interesting. I wasn't expecting him to. He was able to take such a narrow line, and Sparks basically was just chucking the rear out. So, I mean, obviously you mentioned the tyre wear difference. It looks to be playing a part. It's quite weird to see. But yeah, I think Chili now, he's really got to put in just one hell of a last shift here. He's just got to try to get up to the back of Sparks, and if he can get a chance, I mean, Shadow's closing in a lot quicker on Matthew Rees now, so I think that's going to be... Oh, and that's a big mistake!
Shadow, massive mistake there, and he's actually lost out to his teammate. Sparks had to think quickly there, but look at Chili, who smells blood, wheel to wheel here, this time with Shadow, goes in deep here, heading up to Vert Curve. There's going to be a Ferrari. Brilliant from Chili, gets himself into P5, sensational, brilliant driving there, and certainly what a very calm, calculated manoeuvre where he needed it most, gets ahead of Shadow there in absolutely dramatic fashion. Shadow just lost the car out of Repsol, found himself in the gravel trap, handing his teammate Sparks effectively that net lead. But what about Chili? That quick thinking on the power, got himself there. Wowee, what a moment in this race.
Absolutely, that was such an opportunistic move, and I'd like to apologise for Shadow, because that was definitely my fault for saying the only way the positions are going to change is when they catch up to Matthew Rees. Well, that didn't age fantastically well for Shadow. But yeah, Shadow's he's a quick driver, and he has definitely got the race pace. So let's see what he can do now. He's able to save a bit more ARS. He's in the DRS. It's his turn to chase this pack. He's been leading it for oh so long, but one mistake has cost him, and now Sparks is leading this train, as we still have Matthew Rees out there on the track. It's down to 2 seconds now. Dark Killer's out the race as well. That appears to be a mistake around turn 2, I believe. If it was a crash, I think it looks like it probably was. Again, that's those curves. Is tracking out the wrong way. No, it does look like he's apologised. Oh, he's retired on tracker there. And I think the Griff got slightly scared of that car because it was parked on the apex of turn 3.
Yeah, absolutely. But what about TRL Martin? I have to say, he's closing on Joker right now. He's flying, and he's got the fastest lap right now still, but I believe he still will have to pit. I get the feeling softs are going to be applied to Martin's car at some point. It's going to be a real tight finish in this race. Remember the gap, 8.7 seconds currently between Matthew Rees and TRL Martin. Martin now doing it for the fans, the viewers who are watching on as he rounds up past Joker, and there's certainly no joke about about this move? Sensational from TRL Martin. Now taking the lead of the race on track. The McLaren now is hightailing through turns 1 and 2, heading down towards turn 3, through turn 3 into turn 4. The McLaren now leads here at Spain. The WOR Esports Invitational is led by TRL Martin. Sensational stuff there from him, Bradley.
And I'm inclined to believe with Days Rhombus in the chat here, I think I agree. I think we could be saying that again a little bit later on in this race if Martin straps on a set of those soft tyres, which it looks like he will be able to do at this point. I think he's already got, what, a 10-second gap to Matthew Rees, therefore about a 12-second gap to Sparks. That's not a lot to close, and he's going to have probably 7-8 laps to do it. This really could be the ultimate comeback drive from Martin, and I think that would make a pretty good video.
Effectively a last to first on track. I have to say, Bradley, that would be historic. And certainly we'd be watching back at this. None of us gave him a chance after the certainly the early goings on where he got disconnected from the session, but he's currently leading this field right now in a perfect scenario. The safety car obviously helped him. We did discuss it earlier. The fastest lap again. He is absolutely flying. A purple 1:16.867 is what he lands here in race trim, rounding through the next right-hander through turns 1 and 2, heading around turn 3 now. Soon to be turn 4 at Repsol. Still Martin leads right now. Chili getting closer as well. Oh my word, a tap in the back. As you can see, a move from Shadow. Sparks aggressively defending. And Chili very nearly sustaining damage to his front wing. Has that Ferrari got damage? And crucially, Shadow's got ahead. Chili now looking to move. Make his way around turn 4. Sparks is out of the race at DNF. That could well be a safety car. It is a safety car. And what perfect timing for TRL Martin, who will surely box onto a set of softs.
I'm starting to question my head if Martin can make it to the end, but I don't think he needs to anymore. This is effectively as good as a Martin win now. He's got 11 seconds to Matthew Rees. He can come in the pit lane. And he should keep that. That is the ultimate comeback drive from Martin there. I'd be surprised if he loses this lead now. I'd be really surprised if he hops in the pits and loses this.
Well, I have to say, they're all going to box on softs now. I'd even consider that the hard tyres will do the same. So we're going to be seeing pretty much a gunslinger of a finish. This is where all the drivers are going to lay everything on the line, folks. And he is going into the pit. Certainly our suspicions have been confirmed. Matthew Rees is also, I'd imagine, going to join them. The race has turned around in his favour too after that early box. Will he box? Yes, he will. In behind as well, Shadow. Will he follow suit too? Remember, he's got a penalty to serve as well. Will he serve that in the pit lane? Will that mean that he drops down the field? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think whatever happened with his teammate, it got very confusing heading down the straight, but in they come and box. Chili's following too. What a finish we have coming up now. It's going to be a true battle in all the full sense of the word. TRL Martin is out now on the main straight of the track. He is out on the circuit, leading the race, and I have to say, this is what happens in league racing, folks. The battling across this circuit is sensational. Nico, who was already picked for softs, he's also pulled off a masterclass as well. 3 laps only on those tyres. They're ready heated. He can conserve the tread as well. What a race for the Aston Martins.
Absolutely, they found themselves... Wait, what's happened there? How's Joker ahead? Okay, right, that solved itself very quickly. I think... I'm not quite sure. Okay, so Joker leads the race.
I think he's taking it under the safety car. I do remember seeing that there was a glitch where once you get ahead under the safety car, you don't forfeit the position. We're just watching now. And no, Martin can't retake the lead. I'm hoping the Joker gives them the position back. I really am. I really hope he does, because that will be a shame if he loses out for that reason. We'll have to wait and see, folks. But obviously, that's very disappointing. We weren't really hoping that would happen, but obviously we did see it earlier on where the game does allow certainly the leader of the... Well, certainly if you're behind someone in the safety car, and it does allow you to go through. And unfortunately now, TRL Martin has paid the price, at least for now, and it's meant that he's now sitting in P2. I'm just hoping that when the restart happens, that Joker lets TRL Martin through. We'll have to wait and see, folks. Naturally, it could cost Joker, though, a few positions in this race due to the getaway, but we'll have to wait and see what occurs. There you can see him behind those Shadow there on soft tyres. Chili as well on softs. Just look at them, all of them on softs. Bar WR Connor, who is, of course, not driving his car right now. Penalties applied across this grid. Don't forget Joker, who has got a penalty. TRL Martin, no penalty applied. Nico has got a penalty. Matthew Rees Shadow still has his penalty. Chili alone could gain a podium on penalties alone in this race. That is sensational.
It absolutely is. I don't know. Martin was doing a lot of fairly aggressive weaving. I don't think it was for tyre warm-up because he's now doing it completely differently as we get to the latter half of the safety car period. I don't know if he's a bit frustrated with Joker there, maybe. That's an interesting one. I don't think he'll leave too much out on track in a minute on this restart. He will want to get that move. He'll want to win it on track, of course he will. And he should have the win pretty much nailed down now. Matthew Rees, all respect to him. He's drove a fantastic race, but he's not quicker than Martin from what we've seen so far. Nico, he's got a penalty. Joker, he's got a penalty. Shadow, he's got a penalty. Chili is the next... I mean, I don't even know if Chili's the next real contender just because of how far down he is.
No, well,
this is a lovely position to be, isn't it?
It's really tight. I mean, look at the penalties stacked across this grid. Anything can happen. Yeah. And right now, Joker is currently leading the way. Penalty applied, of course. He will drop down a few places. TR Martin, I've got to say, he's in a prime position to win this race right now. And certainly, I'm hoping that Joker is going to give the position back. I really hope that is the case, but we'll have to wait and see, folks. Nico as well, in behind. He's got a penalty. Matthew Rees, who is in a very prominent position, who just boxed as well onto a set of softs. Safety car, we can confirm, is in this lap. Any predictions from yourself before the restarts gets underway, Bradley?
I would put so much money on a Martin win right now. I can't see it going any other way, and if it does, it's going to be absolutely exceptional. One of the all-time classic ends to a race. If Martin does not win this, it's going to take something absolutely phenomenal. But let's see, because that does happen fairly often.
Yeah, well, very shortly now the safety car will be going in and Joker will be taking up the responsibility as the safety car for this restart. TR Martin actually is suggesting that he is looking for Joker to let him through as Joker now pulls the plug and makes his way around. It is pedal to the metal for the third time in the Spanish Grand Prix, and not a great start here from Martin, who has now got Nico right behind him here as they head down towards turn one. Nico can't find any traction on those 5-lap-old soft tyres. Chili in behind as well. Shadow trying to take no prisoners on Matthew Rees. Both of them share no lap soft tyres, certainly. Well, one lap applied on the right now as they round turn 3, heading down towards turn 4. Will he go for a move here in the initial stages? No, he shuts the door, Matthew Rees, but sensational getaway. Joker still leads, TR Martin in behind. It's a shotgun finish here, Bradley. Who's going to win?
I'm still sticking with Martin. On track, though, it could well be Joker, because he looks like he's got the pace early on, but I think now Martin, he's got those tyres up to temperature, and he's starting to close that gap just a little bit more. It was weird, Nico wasn't using ERS down the main straight until sort of the latter half. So I really have no idea what was going on there. I don't know if Nico just didn't want to go for it. Oh, wow.
Matthew Rees with a very high tail manoeuvre there, and has actually caused Nico some problems because Shadow has just crept through, the ultimate opportunist. Shadow finding his way through. He did the same to Sparks earlier on after the incident with Chili, and now Shadow has moved his way up into P4, right on the tail of Matthew Rees. He might get a chance here, and Matthew Rees, due to all the carnage, has actually very nearly got himself out of DRS on TR Martin, who now goes for the lead of the race. Here on track, up to center the fastest lap. TR Martin taking the lead in this Spanish Grand Prix. Sensational. Chili also doing the same. Tries to overtake here on Nico. Oh my words. Very, very close. A little tangle on the circuit heading round turn 2. And Chili moves up to P5.
Yeah, that was one of those moves went slightly better than the other. I think Chili just hitting the curb, running a little bit wider, then effectively just got stuck on Nico's car. They were both just being stuck together, basically. That was an odd one. But now Wilson trying roundly outside of Nico. This could be a brilliant move if he can pull it off, but it looks like Nico has a little bit more traction on the exit as we climb up the hill now, and I think Nico potentially can survive that wobble and hold on to P6. He has just got to maybe regain his composure a little bit. What's going on?
Yeah, Shadow now coming into Lakea, also dives into third place there ahead of Matthew Rees. It's action-packed here at this restart. Still Martin leads, but what a move from Shadow. Again, I'm going to call him the ultimate opportunist. He certainly has been just that. Gets past Matthew Rees around that left-hander at Lakea bend, round in the chicane now. Just look at the grip that he's got on the soft tyres, utilising them to the absolute best right now. Matthew Rees in P4, TR Martin, Shadow with the fastest lap. No surprise after that sensational lap of racing, as now Joker once again tries to wind up here on TR Martin. Cannot find any traction heading into turn 1, but what a sensational restart that we got. Action-packed from the very start of it, and I hope we get some more, Bradley.
I hope so too. There's still another 4 laps of racing to go, and barely a driver separated by more than a second. Luca and LeGriff going side by side now, under braking. Luca's got the move. LeGriff going to try the cutback, but I don't think it's going to be successful. He's going to be forced round the outside. He wasn't even thought about diving to the inside line, but just not enough grip, not enough rear end to hold on to that. That was never going to work. And now Luca's got his eyes forward. He can maybe see himself end this race in the points if he can keep moving up the grid.
Yeah, he certainly can. We'll have to wait and see whether he can pull that off. Of course, Shadow now rounding Lakea. He's right on the rear of the Joker right now. And I have to say, his number could be up. And as they now round the next right-hander at New Holland, Joker can see him behind in his mirrors. The Shadow is now drawing closer and closer as they round through the next chicane very shortly around the final corner as well. A yellow flag in sector 3.
No.
Luca's gone. Luca is gone. Shadow now rounding New Holland right to the rear of Joker. Oh, a safety car! A safety car, an instant safety car. Incredible dramatic fashion with only 2 laps left in this race. We have a safety car for the 3rd time in this Grand Prix. Sensational. Sensational. Can anything not happen in this Grand Prix?
We nearly had a little bit more. Shadow nearly just ploughed into the back of Joker with that safety car coming into effect. That could have been absolutely the icing on the cake there. And that, yeah, that's absolutely chaotic. So this is going to be a 1-lap sprint. That's,
well, this is great for those who have got penalties. This is not good for them because they cannot sprint clear. And you've got 2 in behind. The 2 drivers.
Great for Matthew Reese.
Yeah, great for Matthew Reese, and also great for Chile, who could effectively be fighting over P2 of the race. Tyrrell Martin, he currently has nothing to worry about. This, in effect, saves more wear on the soft tyres. He could just settle down now, and we'll have 1 lap of pure racing before the end of this race, of course. Amazing stuff indeed, folks. I have to say, none of us expected this to happen on a race weekend, certainly here in WOR Xbox, where the drama just keeps on coming. But now the grid will very shortly be having to form up behind the safety car, with TRR Martin still leading the race with currently an 8/10 of a second deficit between him and Joker. That, of course, will be drawn right back in as soon as the safety car comes out. But let's look at the difference now. Shadow currently 3.2 seconds behind. Of course, he's pulled right back, but as soon as he's allowed to, he will pull up right behind Joker in the Aston Martin as well. Matthew Reese locked in behind too, with Chile not far behind either. And very shortly, like I said before, folks, a shotgun finish right to the end. I tell you what, everything goes, I think, in the final lap. Everyone's going to be pushing to get the maximum they can get. Almost similar to what we had in WRPC at Bahrain in the very first round, where all the drivers went for it after a late safety car. They all gunned it out for the final 10 laps. The only difference on this occasion, we were going for 1 lap of racing. Sensational stuff.
Absolutely, and now look at that. They're still slowing down ahead. This is it now. We are approaching. Surely the safety car is going to come in this lap. Wouldn't expect much less. I think it technically would register the safety car coming out on lap 30, because I don't quite think when the crash happened we'd reach lap 31. So I think we're definitely, I think that's the only reason the safety car came out in the first place. Yes, we should be in course for a 1-lap sprint where anything goes. Hopefully not driving standards wise, but anything could happen here. I think there's going to be a couple of opportunistic moves, especially as we get maybe into the hairpin a little bit later in the lap.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see who is going to be best in their getaway. This is going to be so vital, getting those tyres up to temperature. Of course, they've got plenty of wear left on this compound. They've all now slowed down under the safety car, preserving what they can. Safety car we have got confirmed from race control is in this lap. Goes without saying, of course, 1 lap of racing remains here in this Spanish Grand Prix. Please leave a like and a subscribe, folks. I have to say, it's a pleasure to have you all with us. Thank you to all the viewers out there who have joined us for tonight's race here at WOR for the Xbox tier. It is absolutely sensational. It's been absolutely brilliant to watch some of the drama out on track. Tyrrell Martin with an absolutely outstanding performance, certainly looking like he's going to be the absolute winner in this race. But the question is, can he get it to the end? Certainly on these soft tyres. Do it for the fans of his YouTube channel. Can he do it? That is the big question, as now he rounds the final corner, and for the 4th time we hit pedal to the metal in this Grand Prix. And Shadow right on the rear of Joker wants to go down the inside, looking to get a clean getaway. Chile as well going for a move. We got battles across the circuit. Shadow dives down the inside, getting the inside line into turn 1. Brilliant manoeuvre. Joker looking for a way around as well. Chile fighting with Matthew Reese, technically for the 2nd position in this race. Gets it done. The Scuderia lights it up here, gets ahead of the Alpine, ahead of Matthew Reese. What a drive from Chile here.
It's 2x2x2 on the restart, down into turn 1, and Chile coming off very well from it now. He's up into what is going to be P2. Martin, as long as he doesn't pick up one more warning, he's going to be in a good place. Viper retiring on the last lap. You hate to see it go so long into the race. But now, Chile, can he put a little bit of pressure onto Joker? He doesn't need to, but for the pride of finishing ahead on track, it could be worth it. But this has been an exceptional drive from Martin. He has gone from last to first. He disconnected at the start, fell all the way to the back. A safety car brought him back into it. And then the strategy has paid off oh so well.
Yeah, it certainly has. He rounds the chicane for the final time, round New Holland for the final time. You have to say, give him his best. It was a last to first effort, because it certainly was. Tyrrell Martin is your winner of this Grand Prix with Chile. In fact, I think he must have got a penalty.
Did Martin get a penalty at the end?
He got a penalty at the end. He lost it all. Chile gets the win. Chile gets the win. Incredible scenes as Martin suffers a penalty in the dying moments of this race, and Chile gets the win. I'm not sure what happened, but absolute drama at the end as Chile claims the win in this Grand Prix. Wow, incredible stuff. I have to say, Bradley, I cannot believe what we've just seen.
Yeah, so as I said, it's a glitch. It's got to be a glitch. I just went on the race director as it ended, and he only had 2 warnings. So I've no idea what happened there. But I think Chile, at the moment, he'll be enjoying this part where nothing's confirmed. This will be the highlight.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Yeah, we think it was a timing error, folks. Luke Humphries, in fact, WOR has actually confirmed it. So Tyrrell Martin is the winner. Tyrrell Martin is the winner. Don't be mistaken, folks, by the classification. He is the winner of this Grand Prix. Timing issues have effectively dropped him right down the order. Looking here on this classification, Tyrrell Martin is the winner. Chile in P2, Matthew Rees P3. What a turnaround. Shadow in P4. Tyrrell Martin there. Remember, he was the winner. Joker next. Wilson as well. Nico finishing up there in P8 as well, with Noctis P9, Harvey P10, LeGriff in P11, Shuey in P12, Jack in P13. You've got Viper P14, Connor, well actually no, further down, these are the positions. Connor P14, Luca P15, Sparks P16, who was a DNF. We lost Dark Killer, Critch, Ronhard, Tribian was obviously last on the list, but a DNF nonetheless. So incredible stuff indeed. Chile, Matthew Rees, both on the podiums, P2 and P3 consecutively. And there you have the winner, Tyrrell Martin. Shadow would finish in P4. Incredible stuff indeed. What a moment. What an incredible moment on the Xbox platform. I'm sweating buckets. I cannot believe what we watched. Action from start to finish. And I tell you what, if that's something that we're going to be expecting to see heading into the League Race environment, we're going to be in for a very exciting season here, Bradley.
As well, doesn't it? But yeah, that was really good. That was a fantastic race. Some really good, clean battling for the most part. A couple of unfortunate accidents. But I think just look how many retirements we had. I think that's something that's really going to lead into the new season and be a massive issue. We just know how unpredictable the curbs are on this game. And a small mistake, we saw it so many times in this race. At turn 2 especially, and then on the exit of turn 9 as well. We saw drivers getting stuck on the curb and then just going straight into a wall because it can spin you any way and you have no chance of saving it. So it's so unpredictable now.
Oh, it is so unpredictable. I have to say that's the beauty of racing here at WOR and soon here on the Xbox platform. The console is never dead, everybody. It certainly is very much alive. And after seeing some of that racing here tonight, those drivers gave it absolutely everything. I want to talk about driver of the day. Are we going Tyrrell Martin without question?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair.
Got to. Tyrrell Martin, driver of the day. A win from effectively a last to first. He has done a yard of what me, ladies and gentlemen. From the back of the grid to P1. It doesn't matter how it happens. When it happens, it's brilliant. Incredible stuff indeed. And I give credit as well to Chile. What a drive. Getting a P2 after that absolutely incredible start. That incredible getaway. It looked like he lost it all though after that collision with Sparks. And of course when Shadow entered the fray as well. But what a race to give us this incredible moment further down the line, and I hope we're going to see more of it as well. I want to say a big thank you to all you viewers in the live chat as well. You guys are absolutely awesome. I gotta say, the racing, no matter on what platform, it is sensational at the top end to see these guys bossing it across all the levels. I can see already, I'm wondering if we're going to get some interviews actually on the board here. We're going to wait and see. Please make sure that if you are watching the stream, if any of you drivers want an interview, you can come on in. Big thank you to the likes of WR. Ryan, thank you so much, mate. Bibin Daniel, thank you so much, dude. So many of them. Jasper Heaton, thank you all so much. Everyone in the live chat, you absolutely smashed it. Sparks is in the waiting room, in fact, so we will bring him in. Incredible stuff, certainly, for this race, folks. We're going to now bring in, of course, the Alfa Romeo driver, Sparks. Sparks, an incredible race, mate. You looked like you had something to gain from that race here tonight, but after that instant heading into turn one, it just all turned a little bit messy. Talk us through it. Sparks, can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hello, Sparks. What a crazy race, my friend. I'm not sure whether you heard my question, but it all seemed to go your way, certainly yourself and certainly Shadow's way. Team Alfa Romeo were looking strong, but it all came to an end after a bit of a mess heading into turn one. Can you talk us through the race?
Well, I mean, the pace that I had, it was okay, but, you know, me and Shadow did a good job to DRS each other, pull each other along, but Chili's pace was really, really good, to be honest. It was really unexpected, to be honest, with his pace was really good. And, you know, he caught our DRS and caught us off guard, really. And unfortunately, I can't really blame that incident on Chile, to be honest. It was really just the contact model being a bit bad. We literally only just touched and it spit me off into the wall, which is really unfortunate. But, you know, it was a really, really fun race and exciting to see what league racing is like in this game. And I'm really excited for the first race in Bahrain next week.
Would you say it was probably the most dramatic probably start we could have got on Xbox? Because it certainly seemed that way to me. I mean, it was incredible. We had 3 safety cars in total. Not only that as well, the amount of battling, the amount of pace that we saw on track, some of the most amazing moves that probably we're likely to see on a console platform. Are we basically looking at one of the most competitive grids on the console platform today?
I mean, probably, yeah, to be honest. I mean, of course, from previous games, of course, the grid has got weaker, but obviously there are going to be them few drivers that are going to get better and come to the top step and, you know, surprise everyone. And especially Chile today, I mean, he's clearly shown his pace is a lot improved since last game, and he definitely proved himself today. So, yeah, this is quite competitive, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously heading into this new season, is there any drivers that you got your eyes on that can really make a difference this season? Is there anyone that you believe in your heart of hearts could be world champion?
I mean, I could probably say Ron Hart, but as well, like, for me personally, I think Shadow's probably got it in him. His raw talent is insane, and I think people don't really see it. So, I don't know. Personally, I have my eyes on Shadow winning the title this season, but, you know, Ron Hart is rapid as well, and I think he's going to be Shadow's probably biggest contender. And I think it's going to be a showdown between them two, to be honest.
Well, it'd be interesting to certainly see. Certainly Shadow looked very pacey on those soft tyres. But I want to say a big congratulations to you, Sparks. You were having a great race. Just unfortunate the way it ended. But I'm sure it won't be the last we see of you at the top end, certainly. So well done, mate. We'll see you again heading into the first race of this Xbox season. Well done.
Okay. Thank you, George.
Thank you. Next up, we have Chile after a fantastic race. What an effort heading out of turn one. Just talk about that start, Chile. An incredible start heading off the line into turn one. You must have been delighted with that.
I mean, yeah, obviously when I saw Shadow, he got a pretty poor start, which I wasn't expecting. And so I took that opportunity, got him into turn one. And, you know, it was really the race went on from there, you know, just trying to stick with Sparks and Shadow, obviously two incredible players. I mean, I wasn't even expecting to be on pace with them in that race. But, yeah, I just had to stick with them, really. And I just had to stick with them. And that was the main goal, trying to stick in DRS. And yeah, they just basically dragged me along, and you know, it was some great as well between them, and you know, it's great podium. Definitely something I wasn't expecting heading into today.
Well, let's just talk about your development, because obviously you've come a long way in the space of a year. You're now signed to Shazoo. Now you started at the academy. You've just recently been brought into the main team. Just talk about the preparation and the effort that you've put in to get to this top end of racing. Because certainly you're up against the likes of Ronhar, Shadow, very quick as well. The likes of Sparks too, TR Martin, who of course did an absolutely phenomenal, effectively a last to first out there after he got disconnected for the first part of the race. You know, it just means. You know, and ask you the same question. Alongside your development, is this the most competitive Xbox scenario that we've been in where we could see multiple drivers challenging for this title?
In terms of, from what I've experienced, this is the best grid I've ever came up against. And and I've been working extremely hard. Getting my pace up, getting my race pace up. That was something I lacked a lot of last game, but definitely got that up for today. And I didn't really do coming into this race. Did about a few hours, but that's about it. And that was only on today, so wasn't really expecting much. But to be P2 behind Tyrrell Martin, which is somebody that I've looked up to a lot. He's such an experienced driver, such a great racer, and to be on a podium with him, and then obviously Matthew. I mean, we've been friends for a while, and we know that we have the ability in us to get a podium, and just to share it with him is just another really cool moment. And yeah, I'm just happy. To be honest, that's really the only way I can explain it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fairy tale finish. I mean, we had everything, didn't we? 3 safety cars and certainly lots of overtaking. I got to say, I was well impressed with how you kept up with Shadow and Sparks through that race, because, of course, they were trying to get cars in between them and you. So you had to fight tooth and nail to try and get yourself past them and yet again stay within the Delta gap. But what I was really impressed of was the fact that you managed to conserve 5 to 10% more tyre life in comparison to Sparks on the graphic, despite your efforts of trying to catch him up. He seemed to be also using a lot more ERS than you as well, where you managed to save a constant 20% at least on your certainly in your where it came down to your ERS deployment. So what a clean and measured approach heading into this race. Was it just the case that you had to be that much more effective in the apexes in order to get the advantage that you were looking for? Because it certainly seemed like that to us.
Well, I mean, I can't confirm. I was running higher wings than Sparks. He was running, I believe, 9.9, and I was running 8.11 wings. So I had a little bit more advantage in the corners. But after the pit stop phase, having to catch them up, that was really difficult. Had to put in some really good laps. And when I saw them, starting to, I started to close it and I knew that I could get back in DRS. And once I did, obviously Shadow made that mistake. I think you probably caught that on stream. I managed to overtake him and get into the second place. And then I also noticed that Sparks, his red light was flashing. So, that gave me the opportunity to go for a move. And, obviously, unfortunate what happened to Sparks at the end of that. Just the terrible model, I guess you could really say. But, it was great racing with them. And, it's definitely something I wasn't expecting today.
Well, certainly the console system is certainly far from dead. It is absolutely very much alive. Lots of top quality battling happening out tonight. And it's very much a great little teaser to what we could see in the World Championship. I want to say congratulations, Chile, on an epic podium, a great P2. And I look forward to seeing what you can do heading into the season proper. Well done, mate.
Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you, Chili. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, what a phenomenal race at Beacon. I got to say, Bradley, we were treated to some exquisite racing out there on track, and you could just hear the jubilation in Chili's voice. To do it against Tyrrell Martin, for example, who was the only driver to finish ahead of him, his hero, should we say, in the world of F1 content creation, and the fact that to even be competitive against the likes of Ronhar as well, he was genuinely blown away by the results. And that is the great thing about league racing. It tells brilliant stories, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And yeah, it's so good to hear at the end. The drivers, it clearly actually does mean a lot to them to be able to race with some of the top guys. Especially, look, we've got a new wave of drivers coming through. There's a lot of 13 to 15-year-olds really improving at the moment. They are properly putting the hours in, and they're proving themselves. They're improving their craft day by day at the moment. And they're going to come up against the old guard that they've looked up to. They've been these untouchable figures through the whole time they've been racing. It's a big thing, and it's brilliant because it just means they show so much respect to them as well. It means you get clean, competitive, and just overall great racing to watch. It's so good to see, and it means so much to them. So honestly, if we can keep getting more and more of these, just this lovely mix, it's just going to be such a good season.
Well, I got to say, we had plenty of highlights to look at from that race, and I'm going to be producing quite a few for my Twitter channel. I can assure you of that, folks. Make sure you stay tuned for those. But I have to say, this is the time where we also plug the socials. I mean, what a race, folks. I tell you what, please make sure that you leave a subscribe and also a like to this stream, obviously. Thank you all so much for all your dedicated support. It really does mean a lot. We're changing the future. We're changing the platform, changing the paradigm of league racing forever, folks. I have to say, more eyes are on it more than ever, and you guys at home are making it happen. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure, as I said, smack a subscribe and also a like onto the stream. Not forgetting as well, check out WOR on Twitter as well. You can check out World Online Racing at WOR League. That is their Twitter handle. Please make sure you leave them a follow and check out and stay up to date with all the latest news surrounding the league affairs as well. But not forgetting as well, you can check me out as well, George Morgan at George Morgan TV. Please leave me a follow. Don't hesitate to drop me a DM, leave me a like, whatever you want to do. You're more than welcome. And not forgetting as well, my man, the man in the com box with me, Bradley. What's your Twitter handle, if you please?
At VSG_beacons. Yet feel free to hit me up with a follow, DMs, anything. Happy to hear from you about anything to do with racing or anything at all.
Flood him, folks. Absolutely flood him. Incredible stuff indeed. Big thank you to everybody tonight. We love you to pieces. You guys are absolute legends. We'll see you next time for the very, very first race, I'm sure, in the Xbox Championship. What a corker. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Balliner, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship. What a season. Absolutely phenomenal.